Now, a couple of people have written and said that the Six Nations hasn't really lived up to the hype and the expectation this year as a tournament. Well, this weekend we've got an intriguing round of games, and I think they could all be blockbusters for very different reasons. In this video, I'm going to do a preview of the game that's happening on Sunday at the Principality Stadium in Cardiff, and that game is between Wales, the host, and the visitors, France. G'day everyone, and welcome to Inside Rugby. If you haven't been here before, my name is Mark. I'm a Kiwi rugby fan living in beautiful Cancun in Mexico, and I make videos about what's happening in the world of rugby. If you're a regular visitor to the channel, welcome back. It's great to have you here, and don't forget, keep dropping your comments. I love them all, and I read them all as well. Now in this video, I'm going to be talking about that last game that's happening this weekend in round 4 of the 2024 Six Nations competition. It's between Wales and France, taking place at the Principality Stadium in Cardiff. If you checked out my thumbnail for this video, you would have seen I called it the Gamblers. Yes, Warren Gatland and Fabian Galthie taking a little bit of a risk with their selections for round 4 of this year's tournament. And I'm going to talk about the team selections right now, and then I'm going to give you my prediction for this game and how I think it's going to go across the 80 minutes. So why don't we get into the team selections first of all, and we'll start off with France and go through the team that Fabian Galthie has chosen. And I've got to say, I'm very excited about this team. And I've said all along that I don't think France have got a bad group of players. They're just playing bad rugby at the moment. And if that comes down to Galthie and his coaching team, so be it. But it also comes down to a lot of responsibility on the players and how they're turning up every week. So let's look at the team that Galthie has put out for this weekend, and I'll tell you why it's exciting and why I think it's a bit of a gamble as well. Now let's start off with the forwards for France, and in the front row we have our first change for this French team this weekend. Malvac has gone from the starting 15 and Marchand has come into hooker, and we've got Cyril Bay and we've got that giant of a man Antonio, who I think has been playing really well in the Six Nations competition so far. In a team that's been struggling, I think Antonio's been playing exceptionally good rugby, not only in the set pieces, but we've seen him on a number of occasions getting the ball in open play and actually having a bit of run as well. And for a man that size, he's been playing very well for a lengthy extended period in most of these games. So well done to him. Then moving on to the locks for France, we've got Flamand and Mifu who's coming in, and this is going to be a really interesting combination. Not trialled together so far in the Six Nations, and they'll be, obviously Galthie is looking for a better solution here. Cameron Woki hasn't been living up to my expectations anyway in the Six Nations so far. I really rated this guy after the Rugby World Cup, thought he had an outstanding World Cup for the French, but he hasn't been able to replicate that form during the Six Nations, so that's why we see Flamand and Mifu in there in the locking positions. And then looking at our back three for France, it's great news to see that Gregory Aldred is back in the number 8 position, and we have Crew and we have Olivon on the flanks as well. And I think that back three for France is very good. Let's hope that Gregory Aldred is back to full fitness and he's able to handle the pressure of this entire game for 80 minutes. So a substantially good starting pack there, I think, for France. It's going to be interesting to see how their locks go. They're up against a couple of tough Welsh locks, and I think that's going to be one of the key battles in this particular game. Look at the reserve forwards for France, because I think this is an exceptionally good move from Fabian Galthie, going with 6-2 and putting some giant men in the reserves here. We've got Malvac in there, we've got the two Taya Fanua brothers, Roman and Sebastian off the bench. This is going to be huge. We've got Baudant in there as well. We've got Henri Colombi, and he's really massive. Roumont is there as well. So there's the 6 French forward substitutions that are going to come on in this game, and I think this is going to be another key element of the game, and Galthie is taking a bit of a gamble with this one, but I think it might pay off. Now let's have a look at the French backs, because this is an exciting selection for me as well. I'm very excited by what Galthie's done here. I've been asking for a couple of these positions to happen for a while, and he's finally done it. So let's go through the French backline now. And starting off at fullback, we have got Barry in at fullback, and this is interesting. It's a new player for most of us to see, And it's going to be interesting to see how he takes over from Thomas Ramos, who's going to be in at number 10 for this game. On the wings for France, we've got Damien Penaud and we've got Biel Biarri. And if you've watched any of my videos about France in the past, you'll know that I've been on about putting Biel Biarri in there in the starting 15. He's a game changer. He can ignite this French team from anywhere on the field, and it's fantastic to see him starting this game. So with him and Penaud on the wings, I think we're going to see a lot of damage from France if they're able to get a lot of quality ball out to these guys. Moving into the centres for France, we've got Guy Ficou at number 13, and then at number 12 we've got Deportieri, and he's going to be an interesting selection to see how he goes. Of course, Jonathan Danty has been suspended because of that red card he picked up in the last game, so he's out for the rest of the Six Nations, and we're going to see Deportieri in there to see what he can do for this French backline. But it gets really interesting for me when we move into that number 10 jersey for this weekend for France, and it's Thomas Ramos who's getting in there. We saw him in that last game for France, and he was really giving it a go in the last 15 minutes. He was taking the responsibility of this French team and getting involved, and I think Fabian Galthie got his eye on that and said, right, let's try him out at number 10 because Jalabert just has not been doing the job. And I think this is a really good move for France, seeing Ramos in there. I just hope he has a great game. We know how consistent he is off the tee with his kicking and also with his kicking in general play. So as long as France have the game strategy right, I think Thomas Ramos is going to have a good game at number 10. And then the next change I wanted to see is Luku out of that halfback position, and we've got Lee Garrick starting in the 15 this weekend, and I think that's a fantastic move as well. So it's going to be great to see how Lee Garrick and Ramos go at 9 and 10 this weekend, because I think this could be the difference from this French team having a fantastic game to being looking pretty ordinary like they have been so far throughout the Six Nations. So this backline really excites me for France. And then on the bench to come on, we've got Luku and we've got Mofana. So we'll have to see how that 6-2 split works in terms of the backs. Let's hope France don't pick up an injury in their backline in the first half, because that could see them really struggling later on in the game. But this is what the risk you take when you go for a 6-2 split in the forwards. So that's the French team, including their substitutions for this game against Wales. And I've got to say, I like the gamble that Fabian Galthie has gone with some of these players in these certain positions. I think this could make a difference for France, and it's going to come all down to how they start off in that first 20 minutes against Wales, because if this French team can get a roll on and get some points on the board, we could see a very big score from this French team this weekend. But it's going to depend on how they handle that pressure in the first 20 minutes, because Wales are going to come at them. Now, talking about Wales, let's have a look at their team and see what gambles Warren Gatland has taken in his selection choices. And we're going to start off in the forwards with Wales, and we're going to look particularly at their front row. So the front row for Wales this weekend is going to be Thomas, Elias and Azaradi starting in the front row. Are they going to have it over top of France? I don't think so. I think the French front row is going to be better, particularly in the scrums. We'll have to wait and see how that pans out. And then we move to the locking positions for Wales, and we've got Rowlands and we've got Baird. Now this is going to be an interesting combination, as I just spoke about with the French team. These two for Wales are going to have to dominate in the lineouts, and they're also going to have to be fast around the loose play to really try and get on top of these French forwards. Don't forget, the French are going to bring on that substitution bench in the second half, and they're going to really put the pressure on Wales. So it's going to be important to see how the Welsh pack start off in this particular game. And then moving into the back three of the forwards for Wales, some interesting decision here. David Jenkins is going to be starting on the flank. The other flank is going to be Raphael, and then at the back we've got Wainwright. So a very interesting back three for Wales. Obviously, Warren Gatland is looking for high speed and agility from these three, and we need to see Wainwright playing like he did against Scotland in that first game, because he was absolutely brilliant, and he needs to bring that kind of form, I think, into this game against France. So that's the starting pack for Wales. I think it's good. I think the French pack, if they play to their potential, can have it over this Welsh pack, but it's going to be very, very tight indeed. Okay, so Warren Gatland's gone for a 5-3 split with his substitutions. Let's have a look at the substitute forwards for Wales, and it's D, Domachowski, Lewis, Mann and Martin. So I think this is where Wales could leak a few points in the second half. If France can't bring their forwards on and start to dominate. They're going to get more ball in the second half, and this is potentially going to turn into points for France. Now, if France are chasing the game at that stage, that's going to be really interesting, but if they're already in the lead, it could spell curtains for Wales. So this is a very interesting substitution strategy, I think, from Fabian Galthie if it plays out in his favour. So there's the pack for Wales in this game, including their starting 8 as well as their substitutions. Now let's have a look at their backline. Okay, moving on to the backline for Wales, and this is where it gets interesting in what Warren Gatland's done here. Starting off at halfback, we've got Thomas Williams. Number 1 pick for me as well. I think he's been good when he's been playing. He's got Sam Costello outside him this weekend, and those two are starting to build a bit of a combination. I think if we see them playing more regularly together, I think we're going to see a better 9-10 combination from Wales. Then we move on to the centre pairing this weekend, and we've got Watkin and Roberts for Wales, and this is where it gets really interesting. No George North this weekend, and that's probably the biggest surprise for me, and probably half the population in Wales as well. So Warren Gatland's taking a gamble with his centres this weekend, hoping these two guys are able to live up to expectation and show this French team something a little bit different, and let's hope they're able to achieve that. And then moving out to the Welsh outside backs, we've got Rio Dyer, of course, on one wing, we've got Adams on the other wing, and we've got Cameron Winnett at fullback. And Winnett's been very impressive throughout the Six Nations. He's been a very solid fullback, and he's injected himself into that backline on occasions and looked good as well. He's been very good under the high ball, and he's been kind of a solid rock for Wales at the back, and I've really enjoyed watching the young guy play, and he can only get better and better, so there's good things to come from Cameron Winnett. I think those back 3 for Wales are quite solid now in their positions, and Warren Gatland is relying on them both from an offensive point of view and also from a defensive point of view. So let's hope the Welsh forwards get quite a bit of ball this weekend, so the likes of Rio Dyer and Cameron Winnett coming in at fullback can make some really good advances through the French defence. It's going to be good to see whether they're able to do that. Okay, moving on to my prediction for this game, and I think there's a lot of things to look for in this game. It's going to be really interesting, and we saw France draw 13-all with Italy in their last game out, and Wales, of course, were beaten substantially by Ireland. So this is a bounce-back game for Wales, and this young, inexperienced team from Wales is getting better and better. And is this going to be the weekend where they upset the French, or are we going to see the French bounce back and play like we all know they can do, but they haven't been so far in the Six Nations? It's going to be intriguing. So let's look at some of the things that I think are going to happen and what we need to watch out for. First of all, the kicking game from Wales is going to be really important. Sam Costello needs to get his general kicks in play in the right area. If he's going to do the big up and unders, he's got to make sure he's got following players coming up and contesting for that ball. Otherwise, you're giving the French free ball in open territory, and we all know how dangerous they can be. So that's something that's going to have to be watched out for in this game. He's also going to have to be very clever in getting the Welsh backline through this French defence. The French defence is going to be up in the Welsh faces very quickly, and they're going to play a rush defence. So Wales are going to have to work out ways in which they can actually get through this French defence. And I think without George North there, who is one of those players who's used as a bit of a battering ram to get through a defensive line, it's going to be interesting to see what Watkin can do, and whether Roberts is able to penetrate that backline through the French backline as well. The next thing to watch out for in this game is the forward competition, and I think this is going to be very intense throughout the whole game. If you break the game down into different segments, we're going to see the first 20 minutes, it's going to be full on. The Welsh are going to come out with the passion from the home crowd and their youthful enthusiasm to try and break down this French team and to try and put some points on the board. But when that French substitution bench comes on in the second half, we're going to see France go to another level. So whoever's dictating the forward play by then, it's going to be very interesting. If France get on top early in the forwards and they start these backs running and screaming at the Welsh backline, they could score a lot of points. So Wales' defence is going to have to be right on point this weekend. And with Thomas Ramos in there at number 10 for France, it also gives them another strategic kicking opportunity, and expect a couple of box kicks from Ramos just to test out Cameron Winnett at the back at number 15 for Wales. So that's going to be really, really interesting. France are going to play this game at pace, and they're going to tire the Welsh defence out. That's something they're going to be looking at doing. So with the likes of Pinot and Bielri there in the back line for France, and Fiku as well. Look for them trying to make as many breaks as possible, and the back three for Wales are going to have to be really on it with their defence. But I think this is going to be one of the strategies from France. They're going to make Wales make a lot of tackles. They're going to do some pick and goes with their big forwards, particularly from the maul situation. Expect Antonio to do a couple of big runs again. And it's just going to keep those inside Welsh flankers and number 8 tight into the packs and the mauls. So that means that France is going to be able to distribute the ball out wide and use those weapons they've got out wide. I think that's one of the strategies that France is going to use in this game. But as I said, the second half is going to be key here when France empties that bench and they come on. If France are able to get some domination in the forwards at that stage, as I said, if France are already in the lead at that stage, they could run away with this game. But if they're chasing the game and they have to bring on those forwards in the second half to chase the game, it's going to get very, very tight and very, very interesting. A couple of days ago, I was thinking this game could be somewhere in the vicinity of a draw. But I think France are going to get up in this one. I think it's a very interesting French team. And I put the provisor on it is they have to play to their ability, which they haven't been doing so far in the Six Nations. We've got a couple of new faces in there in the French team. And I think with Gregory Aldrit back in this team and leading this team, I think that's going to be the difference of this game. So 6 to 10 points, I think France are going to win this game by. But if they are already in the lead at half-time and they're bringing on that substitution forward pack, I think they could run away with it in the second half. But I'll stick to 6 to 10 points victory for France and see how that pans out at the Principality Stadium on Sunday. Okay, so that's what I think is going to happen. So why don't you tell me in the comments what you think is going to happen in this classic between Wales and France on Sunday at the Principality Stadium. I look forward to reading all of your comments. Now, I'm going to be back after all of the games this weekend with a full in-depth review of the games, talking about those particular players that I've mentioned as being newbies into these teams this weekend, to see how they've gone and also to see how the strategies of each team unfolded in this particular game. If you like my content, don't forget, hit that subscribe button. It does me the world of good. It's free for you. And give this video one of these things as well. It really helps me out. Thank you very much in advance. So I'll see you all again soon. Enjoy your rugby this weekend. I think there's going to be some really classic games. Stay well, stay safe. Until next time, it's time to say adios from here in beautiful Mexico. Until next time, bye for now.